Hello. This is an IBM PS2 Model 70 386. More specifically, it is an E61 variant, which we'll get into in a bit because that has dumb implications, but so does this entire machine. Now, I am going to say unapologetically upfront that I hate IBM PS2 machines, but I need this one to work for a future video that is going to be awesome. So today we're going to rebuild this machine with parts and software that will make it not suck. Well, not suck any more than it did when it came out of the factory. Now, when I first bought this machine, this is all I got with it. The computer chassis itself and the monitor. And the only reason I actually bought it was to get this monitor. I wanted a VGA monochrome CRT because there is no color mask inside that little metal grid that allows RGB subpixels to be shown. And that makes the image look very unique. And I was really excited about that. Well, this one isn't doing so great, but I did get some enjoyment out of it. And I kind of took it aside and focused on that and left the computer to languish. Well, a couple of years ago now, I think, I ended up actually recapping the floppy drive in this machine. And that was part of when I discovered how unbelievably stupid IBM machines are from this era. This is what you see when you first open an IBM PS2 Model 70 first generation, or Type 1. This is as they were shipped in June 1988. This is the floppy drive, and it just pops out like that because it has a card edge connector that is ribbon cabled up to a weird adapter plate, and it is impossible to put a normal floppy drive in there. But oh, the terribleness continues. If I flip this around, we'll see this weird bay. Well, that's where an ESDI hard drive unique to this machine goes. I don't have that. It didn't come with the machine, and I don't intend on buying one on eBay just so that I can have an old broken hard drive die in this stupid computer that is dumb. Over here, we can see the 16 megahertz 386 from Intel that this machine was equipped with, and the 387 socket that will perpetually stay empty, because who cares? And now, let's start to get to the truly despicable stuff. Here we have 3 slots for memory. One of them is kind of hiding under there because there's no real great way to access these. These are not quite 72-pin SIM RAM. They look like 72-pin SIM RAM. They have the same socket connector as 72-pin SIM RAM, but as far as I understand, these are special to this computer only. Okay, this RAM needs a bit more context. This 1988 Model 70 PS2 was the first PS2 to use 72-pin SIM RAM, but it turns out there's actually a chance it was the first machine to use this RAM form factor at all. Eventually, this would get a JEDEC standard that other systems would use, but I cannot find a date when that would have been published, and JEDEC's own website just lists it as the Unix epoch date. So it's possible that IBM based this RAM off of a proposed draft to JEDEC, or that the JEDEC spec was based on this. However, the Type 1 Model 70 motherboard is a massive pain even among PS2s for this RAM. It must be FPM RAM in parity configuration of a specific RAM speed that is 2 megabytes or less and have some jumper pins set in a way that doesn't align with later standards. So I'm still calling this a unique issue because this machine isn't even compatible with later PS2 SIMs, as I will demonstrate. Now, we're going to explore the potential of upgrading the RAM in this machine, but I am not 100% sure that I can do that today because this is one of those areas where I just don't have a lot of hardware for this thing, and I've picked through the dozens, if not hundreds of sticks of EDO that I have, and I think I have one that might be compatible. Now, there's another part that we need for this machine that is also unique to it, but it's actually software. Each IBM computer like this from the PS2 line has a dedicated setup reference disk that is needed to configure the BIOS. But it gets even worse and even weirder, because for every piece of hardware you want to add to the machine, like this GPIB card that I may explore using in the future, you have to have a dedicated driver disk that is loaded onto your BIOS floppy and then used to configure the hardware itself. So setting up one of these from scratch with just the hardware is impossible, and you must have the reference disk for your machine and the driver disk for your hardware. Now, there's another element to this that my machine is currently missing and is the first thing we're going to rectify, and that is right here. There should be a battery there that is used to store the BIOS settings. I do have the original battery, but I removed it because it was bad, and I don't like leaving batteries in things if I don't have to. The downside is every single time you leave this machine powered off for an extended period of time, it will lose its full hardware configuration. And since I actually need to configure the hardware, I actually need a battery. So the first thing we're gonna do here is install a battery. All right, so this is a camera flash battery or something. I forget exactly what this is, but thankfully this is actually a standard battery to be able to put in here. So this isn't too difficult. I'm gonna hope that is polarity actually marked? Nope, we just have red and black wires. Ah, positive, negative. Okay, this is actually marked. So this is the correct way to stick this in there. Now it should stop losing all of my BIOS settings. Now that is the easy part. The next part is I need to be able to install an operating system to this machine, and running off of floppy isn't going to cut it, which means it's time to deal with these. This computer is the introduction of the MCA slot, micro channel architecture. If you noticed, this GPIB card that I mentioned earlier is not actually PCI. It looks a lot like it, but it goes into one of these slots. These are emblematic of the whole problem with the IBM PS2 line. Let's just go over everything that we have here one more time. We have microchannel architecture slots, which mean we can't add PCI or ISA cards. We have an ESDI hard drive interface. That means we can't use IDE or MDA hard drives. And we have weird card edge floppy connectors that only work with the wonky drives that come with these machines. Every single thing about this machine was an overreaction by IBM to the clones of the IBM PC XT and AT. They overreacted so hard that they made this machine completely different from every other computer out there in the PC market. And it makes it impossible to share any hardware between this and any other computer, which is the main crux of why I don't like this machine. So what that means is I don't have anything that I can use to install an operating system to on this computer because I don't have the one hard drive that it needs. Thankfully though, there is a solution. This is a card that I ordered that I am pretty excited about to use with this machine. This is the ZZXIO MC IDE-CF card. This should allow me to boot IDE-ish drives on this computer, but also I should be able to pop a compact flash card in here and be able to access my boot drive from the back. So we're going to set this card up with this computer, but before I can do that, I actually have to get the weird driver disk thing set up because apparently you're supposed to do this before you actually put the cards inside. So now the fun begins. All right, let's fire this thing up with the battery installed for the first time. All right, let's go ahead and run through some of the configuration. Now, I'll note that while you're seeing the capture in color, the monitor is monochrome, so I don't see any color at all. Okay, that is some stuff. All right, let's set a date and time. Just for giggles, 03/27/2026. Welcome to our nightmare computer. Okay, I think that's everything I want to do for right now, because before I try and configure this with the ADF files for the MC IDE, I do want to try and add a little bit more RAM, correct? Display memory map. I actually want to see this because memory not being used, size 128K. Okay, so you may have noticed that when it boots up that it does something wonky. I think it's provisioning 128K for some reason. I don't know exactly why, but I believe it has a 1 megabyte stick of memory installed. So that's what's going on there. It is pretty weird, but I do believe that that all adds up. Again, I have no idea what it's using that 128K for, but I believe it is a 1 meg stick in there for now. Okay, install. Oh, there we go. Installed memory, 1 megabyte. Usable memory, 896. Why? Now, before we add any new RAM, let's get the existing stick that's in there out so that we can take a look at it. Again, this is pretty standard looking EDO RAM, except it's apparently not. I have all of this memory that is the exact same form factor, and none of these are likely to work with this machine. However, I also have this memory, of which only this one is probably going to work. I'll put that there for now. This one may work. Put that there. And these could potentially work, but I don't know. So here is that original stick. And here is the one that I'm pretty sure will work because they look identical. So I think I'm good there. I'm going to be able to have 2 megabytes of RAM. This one is where this gets a little more interesting. I am not 100% sure exactly what this is. This might be an 8 megabyte stick, or it might be a 2 megabyte stick. I don't really know, but I do know that this is another IBM SIM meant for these kinds of machines. So there is the potential that this will work, but I'm not sure. I'm being informed, because I'm filming this live, that this is actually an 8 megabyte stick. So this will almost certainly not work in this machine, because the Type 1 motherboard that I have only supports 6 megabytes of RAM. Now, these sticks are all the exact same memory speed as the original sticks of RAM here. And let me find, there's a particular one in here that I would like. This is possibly a fairly modern stick, or at least a rebadged stick, of 5 volt 70 nanosecond memory. This is a very similar configuration to the IBM RAM, but I believe is missing some configuration jumpers to be able to make it work. That's the primary difference. You know what, this is apparently all really weird and complicated. We're gonna try just slapping the 8 meg stick in there and see what happens, because I don't really know. I doubt it's going to address 8 megabytes of memory, because I get the feeling that the 386 just can't, but let's see what happens. By the way, fun fact, it sucks to get to this stick of RAM, because it's underneath this piece of plastic, and you have to slide it in and then clock it in place. Technically, you can remove the whole drive thing here, and it's toolless, but it's a dice roll whether or not these white plugs survive. So it's better to not if you can avoid it. All right, let's see what happens. Pow. That is the error code for it no likey the RAM, because I tried running it with no RAM before, and that's what it says. So it says, no thank you. All right, I'm just gonna try every single stick one after another, and we'll see which ones work and which ones don't. All right, last stick. We already basically tested this one, so it's not gonna work. Yep. All right. That is every 70 nanosecond stick of EDO RAM that I have. All of them failed except for the one that was obviously identical. So we're gonna have 2 megabytes of memory with this machine now. Hopefully that's enough for my plans. All right, I think we have to go configure the reference disk now for the new memory quantity. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. And there we go. If you have installed or removed memory, run automatic configuration. Automatically configure system, yes. Now, we're gonna go back into the reference disk setup menu, and we are going to go ahead and install the MC IDE adapter file. So, I believe copy and option diskette is the correct thing here. Okay, remove your backup copy of the reference diskette and insert the disk containing new files in the default drive. Okay, I only have one drive in the machine. There is our IDE disk. Let's see how this goes. remove the diskette containing files. Okay, that was fast. Okay, there we go, I think. All right, so it looks like we're ready to install the IDE card now. All right, so here is the IDE card that I'm installing, and I'm just gonna go ahead and pop it in right here. By the way, this is a really nice job on the manufacturing on this thing. The card edge connector is properly V-scored and everything. It's really good. And yeah, my case is a little broken back here. All right. And now I'm going to go ahead and put a card in here. I don't know which way this goes in. That looks like that was correct. Now, coincidentally, I believe this has FreeDOS on it, so there's a possibility this will just boot. There's also the possibility that it will reject that card and it won't work because compact flash cards being used for IDE are kind of weird. And if it does, then I have a second one that we'll try as well. All right, let's see how this works. I do technically still have the reference disk in there. I may or may not need to configure the card with it. I don't know. So we'll see how this goes. All right, we got error 165. I'm going to assume that means that it doesn't like something. Adapter, configuration error. If you've installed or removed an adapter, automatically configure system. Yep, do my homework. Automatic configuration complete. Okay. We'll see if the machine can boot. Okay, it tried to access the drive, floppy, and I forgot about that screen. That's awesome. Okay, MCCF something. Compact flash master. Okay, I think we want to change that. Probably. Because I would prefer the external one to be the primary. F6 next. External. There we go. Okay, we're going to try changing the option. Oh. I have no clue. It's manual time. Ah, there we go. And there it is. It just booted FreeDOS. Boom. Okay. That's an operating system on it. Whew. Okay. All right. Now the fun begins because the next thing I want to do, even though we have a working copy of an operating system on here, I want to install IBM PS 7 on this machine. I think it's just appropriate to put IBM's own flavor of DOS on here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. But now that the hardware side is finished working, let's go ahead and do this. All right, now that it's working, we can bundle it all back up. Kind of crazy that this thing's actually going to be usable now. Really didn't ever think that I would be able to make this thing do anything more than just complain about needing floppies. As much as I detest the machine overall, it is a pretty sharp looking system. All right, let's go ahead and start the install of PS 7, although there is the potential that this doesn't go particularly smoothly because we're gonna have to reformat this drive, I suspect. So let's see how this goes. Do I want to install it? Yes. I have never installed PS, so this is gonna be kind of fun. Date time, yep, that's all correct. Oh man, I should have waited 6 minutes to start the install. Hold on, F3 exit. Wait a minute. I don't know how the card is currently formatted, and I might actually F disk. I think I might just want to format the card and start from scratch instead of having like a bunch of random files left over. Let's just format C. Let's just go ahead and do this. Okay, now we can run setup again. All right. To use the mouse, mouse.com must be loaded prior to starting setup. Why would you use a mouse during install? All right, since apparently this installer will support a mouse, I have a surprise. Because I picked up the original IBM PS2 mouse that would have been shipped out with this computer because I wanted the full correct experience for this machine. So I have the full clunky mouse in all its glory. Here we go. That is the original IBM mouse. Has a ball, has 2 buttons. This is just your standard PS2 mouse connector, nothing funky. So I'm gonna go plug it into the back. I do have to take a moment to say that everyone reveres the original keyboard for this computer, but you never see anyone talk about how excellent the mouse is. I think there's a reason for that. Let's find out why. Dude, that looks so good. That's super nice. Mouse dot star. Not found. Is there like a whole complicated thing you gotta do just to be able to click through the installer? I don't think this is worth it. I think I got bamboozled in that we're not going to be able to use the mouse. All right, I'm aborting the mouse install because apparently I was lied to by the installer. So we're just going to do the setup. I don't want compression and I don't want backup. So that all should be good. Let's continue. And go. Look at how blurry the yellow is on the monochrome monitor. It hates the color. Remove any discs. And we are done. Let's press enter and see, why did it have a screen after that? Let's see what it's gonna look like. Starting PC DOS. Oh, and it's already loaded the mouse driver. Okay, so that means if I go edit, okay. Dir DOS. That's a lot of stuff. I saw E. Ah, there we go. And the mouse works. Oh man, okay. That is sweet. Oh my gosh. The mouse is perfectly fine. It's not amazing for the switches, but you know, I'm happy with it. I'm not going to change it out. Now that we have the PS2 going, it's time for my next phase of this plan. I'm going to install, well, not this, it turns out. I did want to put Windows 3.1.1 on here, not for the networking or anything, just because this is the boxed copy that I have. But it turns out that 3.1.1 needs 3 megabytes of memory, and we were only able to put 2 in here. And that's actually going to be a problem continuing on with the plan that I have instead, because I went ahead and made a set of disks for Windows 3.1, and it's going to be a dice roll whether or not it works out for what I want to do with this machine, because in order to get 3.1 to run in enhanced mode to utilize virtual memory paging to the hard drive, it has to detect 2 megabytes of memory. We technically have 2 megabytes, but the BIOS is skimming a little off the top. So we're going to install 3.1, and we're going to see if it runs in standard mode or enhanced mode, which is going to basically decide if I have to try and get more memory for this thing or not. All right, let's see if this will work, because I have no idea. All right, here we go. Custom setup for experienced computer users who want to control how Windows is set up. Use this setup method. You should know how to use a mouse with Windows. I mean, I've been using mouse with, well, Linux more so for the last decade, but you know. Okay, display. I have an IBM, what is this? 8503. I don't know if it's gonna have that. VGA with monochrome display. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. And now we see if this works. Actually, the install should go fine. When you launch Windows 3.1, you can either launch it with /S or /3 for enhanced mode, if I remember correctly. So we can test it that way. and then we can check in the About Windows dialog whether or not it's running in standard or enhanced mode. So it should run no matter what, but we'll see how it runs once we get it installed. Do we just try and copy all the files to the drive and then install it from there? Boop. Just go with Express setup. Weird. Maybe it was the monochrome thing. Huh. Type my full name below. Tech Tangent. All right. Oh my gosh, the mouse. I love it. Yep, continue. Okay, the Windows setup is continuing. Setup can now run a short tutorial on how to use Windows and the mouse. Absolutely. Oh yeah, my mouse does not look like that. All right, it's mouse o'clock. When you move the mouse across the surface, an arrow-shaped pointer moves across a computer screen. Okay. Okay. Dude, this is awesome. Okay. Try moving your mouse now. Oh, crazy mouse movement. Ah. Now closed. Holy moly, everything just vaporized. Congratulations. We're now certified Windows experts. Okay. Now, somehow, I think I should be able to see if it's standard or enhanced mode. The standard mode right there. Oh, dang it, you're right. Oh. All right. Let's try and force it to run in enhanced mode and see what happens. All right. Win 3. I believe this should force it to run in enhanced mode. Help. About. So, what this is doing is it is going to use the hard drive as a swap space for more memory storage, which means I can run more advanced Windows applications on this thing, which means that I can continue on with my future plans. So here we have the configuration for the 3D6 enhanced mode, virtual memory. Okay, so we can change the virtual memory size. You know, we can just leave it at that for right now, and we'll see if that's good. Actually, you know what? We'll try one thing on here. Let me grab something that I know is a Windows 3.1 program, and we'll see how much RAM that needs. It's not really my goal for this machine, but let's try a game. I'm gonna pop in Microsoft Arcade, which is a collection of Windows 3.1 ports of arcade games that I think should run on this machine. I don't know what the minimum CPU requirement is. 3D6 SX 20 megahertz. It's close. All right, let's give it a shot. I believe I should be able to access this and then set up the arcade games through here. Oh yeah, make sure you have a minimum of 3 megabytes of hard disk space. Oh no, 3 megabytes, woo! I'm curious how this is gonna run with the virtual memory. Missile command. Yeah, I got it. Oh wait, launcher missiles, ASD. Oh yeah, that's right, we definitely want F2. How many players? 1. Here we go. All right. I cannot see any of that on the actual CRT at all. Oh my gosh. Also, this runs amazing. What? Oh man. Oh, finally lost a city. You know what? And on that bombshell. Whoa. I don't think I've ever made it far enough. What are those ones that just wrapped around the thing? What? Well, that was a lot of fun. I'm gonna call it there. We'll try Tempest, because Tempest is awesome. Wait. Oh, that's right. It's mouse controls too. Okay. Super Zapper is spacebar. All right, let's go. Yeah, we'll start out on the easy web. Oh, this is, ooh, wow, this is weird. This works less well. Yeah, so for the record, that's what you can see on the CRT. Nothing. I can't see the bad guys at all. Well, all right. There is the IBM PS2 actually doing a lot better than I would have guessed. I'm still really annoyed at how ridiculously proprietary all of the hardware is. It is a miracle that I was able to get this running 386 enhanced mode to be able to utilize the hard drive for more RAM for Windows programs. For DOS stuff, Thankfully, 2 megs will probably be enough, but this thing is barely suitable for what I want to use it for, which we'll check out in the next video. But for now, yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that came together. That is a very usable machine. Well, if you enjoyed this video, you may want to subscribe to be notified when I release the next one. If you want to help support the channel, I am on Patreon. But for now, that's it, and I will see you next time.